What is up? Been a minute. I don't remember the last time I made a video, but welcome. My name's Kieran. Cheers. For those of you tuning in for the first time, Needle Groove is the channel name. I share records and enjoying a nice Quebec beer, New England style IPA. This is called Ta Meilleure from La Gabière Brasserie. Some quality brew. So yeah, just Saturday afternoon, heading into the evening. Got a few minutes before I start to make dinner, so I figure I'd just hop on. Not too organized. As you can see behind me, it looks totally different. I moved the majority of my collection into the living room out of my little office. So I still have some records and my setup in there, but I figured I'd hop on and make a video in here. It was quite a lot of work to move all these jazz records. But I'm enjoying the setup. Since I've last been on, I don't remember, I went to Toronto to see a Raptors game. Been really enjoying the NBA playoffs, and on my way I stopped in Kingston, so I stopped at a few record stores there, picked up a couple things. That reminds me, I realized that at least one of the things I picked up is not in this stack. I have records a bit all over the place right now because of the moving stuff, but yeah, so I stopped in Kingston. Had never checked out record stores there, got a couple records, and then in Toronto, I was only there for a day, but I was able to snag one record, which is kind of the rare one out of the bunch. And there was the Montreal Record Fair that happens twice a year, spring and fall, so that happened in end of April, so a few weeks ago now, and I was able to grab a few things there, not much. I know some people found some good stuff. I guess I showed up too late, or just didn't get to the right stalls. So what I will share first is the Canadian records I picked up. These were, two of them were from the fair. As you know, if you've been watching my channel, I love RCI. So this is an RCI that I had been wanting since John Raw. Those of you who've been following the VC for a while know John Raw. He had tipped me off to this, but I was never able to track it down. So this is Roger Simard Encore. Not like a front to back amazing record, but there's one really funky track. There's a couple others that I really like as well, but it's not like an amazing album by any means. But PS Special is the track on here, starts off with a sick drum break. Pat LaBarbera, this is on PM, and this is Pass It On. Not in the best shape, the cover, but record plays really great. It's a cheap record, and I'd never seen it before, so I was happy to snag that. I had picked up another one of his recently that I really enjoyed. Actually, I think how I found out about him was, I think his name's Pierre, who was selling the Michael Stewart records, and probably still is selling Michael Stewart records here and there. He posted about a Pat LaBarbera record because he's big into Canadian jazz. So I found two now since then, and not the one he posted. But speaking of Michael Stewart was the other one I picked up, and I think his name's Pierre. He lives in Germany, I believe. He had told me that this one wasn't that good, but I was still curious. It's more fusion-y, but not an expensive record, so I picked this up just to kind of see what it was all about. And yeah, it is indeed more fusion-y, but I'll give it another listen. I listened to it the day I got home with it to see all the way through. This is live in Bracknell, and this one, it's also on RCI, just has an actual cover. Kenny Barron, Golden Lotus. This has a pretty dope lineup of John Stubblefield, Buster Williams, Steve Nelson, and Ben Riley. I love John Stubblefield and Buster Williams. This is on Muse from '82. Not a blow you away record, but for some cheap heat, definitely some good stuff on here. Golden Lotus from the '80s. This I just picked up this week. Detroit Emeralds. You Want It, You Got It. And yeah, I didn't know the Detroit Emeralds. I think I'd heard of them. This is on Westbound Records from the early 70s. Really enjoyed this, and there's a Blue in Exile sample on here. This is the big record I picked up. I didn't know this record, and I saw it up on the wall at Sonic Boom Records. And I stopped in the first time on the way for like 10 minutes on the way to Scotiabank Arena to see the Raptors game. And I'd seen it, and when I went back the next day to kind of spend a little bit more time, I looked it up. And I looked it up by going on Instagram, typing it in, and seeing. That's something I do when I don't know a record, can't really find much online. I'll kind of see who's posted it, if any of you guys have posted it, and what's been said about it through Instagram. It's a really useful tool. There's actually two records. There's this one and another one in the stack that I picked up this week that I wasn't sure about, but when I read the comments from like-minded people from the VC, it gave me the confidence to pull the trigger on a record I hadn't heard. So yeah, this is Bob Reid, The Best of Emergency. And this is some deep jazz from the 70s. You could call it spiritual, but yeah, it's just highly energetic stuff. There's some vocals. There's actually guitar on here. I don't know any of the musicians. I think it's live in Japan, because yeah, there's some Japanese musicians on here. But this is a special piece, definitely going into the little section of kind of rare or special to me records that I have. This is not an easy one to find, which doesn't mean doesn't mean the music is going to be good, but in this case, it is, to me, very, very good. And I don't usually like live records, and I think when I saw it the first time, when I saw Bob Reid, The Best of Emergency, it kind of looked interesting. But when I saw the best of, I'm like, I don't really buy best ofs, but it's definitely not best of. It's a live date, part of the Quella Jazz series. I guess the label is Quella Records, or Quella Record. That's what the label looks like. So happy to add that to the collection. Not something I've ever seen before. This is potentially a future classic. This came out last year, the end of the year. An artist I was unfamiliar with, and through Instagram heard the buzz. And she has a number of albums. I haven't gone back to check out the others because I'm still digesting this one. I think this is the first one that gets released on vinyl. The others were just pressed on CD. But this is Muriel Grossman, Golden Rule, and this is one of the best jazz albums to come out in the past 10 years, if you ask me. There's tons of good ones, but in terms of, there's a big resurgence of jazz in terms of like spiritual sounding jazz, and this one is right up there with the best of them that have come out in the past few years. And she's actually from Estonia, but based, I think, in Ibiza, and this is released by RR Gems Records. And it's a 2 LP, the best quality sleeve I've seen on any record to come out recently. Really, really well done, and the music is absolutely beautiful. Heavily inspired by Coltrane. So those of you that like Coltrane and are into kind of some of the modern jazz scene, definitely highly recommend you check this out. This is the other one that I picked up thanks to Instagram. A local store here had it for sale online for quite some time, and it's a label I collect. So I was curious, but I couldn't find any clips online, and a lot of stuff on the label is good. The label is Nimbus, or Nimbus West, I think, which they changed their name to, but not everything is amazing, and I don't mind, picking it up for $5-10 if it's not great. But if you're not sure, and yeah, so I don't know, I kind of had seen it there for a while, and eventually, I don't know what made me come back to it, and then I decided to look up on Instagram. I think that's when I saw it again there, and that's when I saw that someone I trust a lot two people actually I trust a lot had posted it. So yeah, and they had positive things to say, so I went back and picked it up. And then since then, this week, someone else who I don't know, but who posts amazing stuff, had some really positive things to say, and happened to post it 2 days after I picked it up. And yeah, so this is limited stops only. Ricky Kelly, really happy I grabbed this. Great record. Wasn't sure when I saw the cover with this bus, but yeah, And this actually had the only other musician, well, I don't know any of these musicians because I didn't know Ricky Kelly, who plays Vibes, but Dadisi Komalafe is on here, whose album on Nimbus I don't have. I have the reissue, but is one of my favorites on the label. So I was very curious because I hadn't noticed that the first time around when I saw it online. But yeah, they do Dolphin Dance by Herbie Hancock on here, Same Shame by Bobby Hutcherson, Lush Life, don't know the other tracks, but yeah, highly recommended. Nimbus Date, happy to add that to the Nimbus collection. I'm sure it wasn't too expensive, but I'm pretty sure once people find out about it a bit more, it's gonna skyrocket. Well, maybe not skyrocket, but it'll go up in price. This is a record I had already, Miles Davis, Roundabout Midnight, and this is an upgrade copy. This is an original Canadian pressing, and it is in immaculate shape, cover and record alike. What's cool about me grabbing this is that I recently set my buddy up with a record player for the first time, and was able to pass the copy I had already of this, which was a very enjoyable copy to listen to. The cover was pretty beat, but yeah, just to see him enjoy this record, because it's a special sounding record. He's not someone who really listens to jazz, but when he heard it, he fell in love with it. It's kind of a soothing, moving record. So yeah, happy to have a minty clean. I got this at this. I don't remember if I showed my minty clean copy of My Favorite Things by John Coltrane. So I also upgraded that copy. Same thing. I from a Canadian, all Canadian pressings. I already had Canadian pressings, but cleaner copies, and I passed that one on to my friend as well. And I think I posted on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's Needle Groove Vinyl on the IG. Which, yeah, if you're not on, I highly recommend. It's kind of addictive in terms of discovering music, seeing what other people are up to, posting, and also for buying records too. So basically all my time spent on social media / Instagram, is this really the only form I use, is for records. And I picked up one of these locally and one in Kingston, but Temptations, solid rock. Didn't know, I know the Temptations, but I didn't know these albums, and I know they're a bit later and kind of a bit more psychedelic, a bit funkier than kind of the 60s stuff. So this one had a crazy version of Ain't No Sunshine, which I really, really enjoyed. So different than the jazz, picking up some soul. And then this is one I picked up in Kingston at a new record store, actually. What I found out was, I think it's called Something Else Records. It's a guy who worked at Sonic Boom, which is where I picked up that Bob Reed record, and he opened up that record store in Kingston, which, if you're not from Canada, it's about halfway between Montreal and Toronto. It's a university town, so yeah. But yeah, so this one I listened to, but not as much as a solid rock. I need to give it a spin. I don't know which one I like more. And this is a bit more than I probably would have wanted to pay. I mean, it wasn't expensive, but it's like a perfect mint copy. And I kind of wanted to support the record store because it had a really cool vibe. There was a copy, oddly enough, of didn't really have much used. It's a new small record store, but of Jack DeJohnette, Sorcery. I was kind of very surprised to see that there. I didn't grab it because I already have it, and it was fairly priced, but I would have grabbed a second copy to pass along to someone if it was super cheap, but it was priced accordingly. But fair enough. And lastly, another one on Westbound Records. Is it on Westbound or Eastbound? I don't remember. But this is Ohio Players, Pain. Kind of classic stuff that you guys know. I didn't have this. I only have their later records. I didn't have any of their Westbound records. So yeah, was happy to pick this up for cheap. So that's it. 15 minutes right now. Hope everyone's doing well. Excited for next weekend, heading down to Burlington Record Fair. So I'm gonna head down on Saturday. Dave Belson will be selling there. For those of you that don't know his channel, Record Bug, check it out. He has some great videos. He hasn't really made any recently, but he has some great, one of my favorite channels on YouTube from back in the day. So I'll be meeting up with him. He'll be selling there, and hopefully Tom, you make it down, FXP. It'll be really cool to hang out and you know, get to finally meet you. And Dave, we've already met, but yeah, we'll drink some good beer and some good food, and hopefully find some good records. Check out Burlington Records, which just moved into a new spot last year, and Autumn Records, and maybe meet some new people from the VC. So it should be cool. Hope everyone's doing well. Summer's coming up. Enjoy. Peace.